Hello and welcome to Dancer Support Mission by Sabine for Shine Your Light. This is a new episode of Dancer to Dancer Words of Wisdom. And I created this platform to meet the person behind the dancer and share with you all not only the highlights of someone's career, but also the challenges behind the scenes. Truly, my wish is to bring healing into the dance world, dancing to heal, healing to dance, one artist at a time and one personal story at a time. I do believe that storytelling gives us an opportunity to learn from another person's experience, and it can shape, strengthen, or challenge our opinions and values. Hopefully, this will allow you to embark or reflect on your own personal healing journey, inspired by others' experiences. And of course, if you find those interviews valuable and interesting, please share them with your friends. So today, I'm delighted to welcome Luiza Bertho, who is a beautiful Brazilian young dancer. So she's in the prime of her career right now. So, you know, it changes. I often invite people who finish their career, but you're right in the middle of it. So, Luiza, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, I mean, we've met via a friend, a mutual friend of ours. So let's dive right in, you know. Let us know where you come from, when you started dancing, why you started, and when you decided to do that as a profession, because I think this is always a turning point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. And I think this is a wonderful project, and I'm happy to be here also sharing a little bit of my story. So I started ballet classes when I was 4 in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, is where I'm from. And I started because of a friend of mine from normal school. We're very good friends, and she had a ballet school in front of her house, and her mom wanted to put her to do ballet classes. So she asked my mom if I wanted to join. And yeah, and I still remember this. I do remember the first day, and since then, yeah, I never wanted to stop. And
did your friend become a dancer as well?
No, she didn't. Everyone asked me that. She didn't. We are still friends until today. We're still in contact. But yeah, she's doing something completely different now. And yeah, and then I was doing that, of course, first as a job, as a hobby. And then when I was about 9 years old, it's when it started to get a little bit more serious. I went to more into a professional training. So I was doing classes every day and started going to competitions. In Brazil, we were going very young to competitions. And so we were actually quite often on stage at a very young age, which I think was very nice in a way, because yeah, it makes you more comfortable on stage.
And doing solos, right, from a young age.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And pas de deux and quite a lot of dancing, not only in the studio. Yeah, and then when I was 15, I did my first summer course in the US, in the Harriet Conservatory. I got a scholarship for the summer course in a competition, the YAGP in New York. So then I went for a month, and I think there it's where I realized I wanted to, first of all, go abroad to also to be able to dance in better companies, because in Brazil, unfortunately, we don't have so many opportunities. We have 2 big companies in Rio and São Paulo, but it's, yeah, not always they have places available because of money conditions and everything. So I thought going abroad would give me more opportunities.
So how old were you then?
I was 15, but I still didn't go away because at that point, in the end, I got offered to join the school. But I think from my parents and also from my side, maybe we didn't think was the right time. My mom wanted me to finish school and like normal school in Brazil. And I was still dancing a lot in Brazil also. We were traveling through Brazil and having a lot of performances. And So maybe we thought it was not the right moment. Maybe I was too young, or yeah. So then in the end, I stayed still a few more years in Brazil, which was also really nice because I had the opportunity to join the company there when I was 16. I did some productions with them. It was not a full contract like here. It was more for productions. So I had the chance to dance Soleil, Giselle, all the big classics in the classical company in Rio. So that was also very nice. And then, but then if I wanted to go abroad, I had to do something. So I went for auditions in Europe, and I got a contract in Boston Ballet because there was an audition for Boston Ballet at that time in Amsterdam. And I got a contract in Munich for the Bayerisches Staatsballet, where I went auditioning. And then I decided to go to Munich. I thought Europe had more to do with me, maybe my style, and also I was in the place. I was in the company. I met I met some people. I met the director, and with Boston was a little bit different because the audition was in Amsterdam, so I didn't get to see the company and everything. So I thought Munich was a better choice at that time. And
you joined straight the main company or the junior company? Because now everybody goes through.
Yes, true. That's true. Actually, it was the first year of the junior company in Munich. So they didn't have, was not so much how it's in nowadays that they have their own rep. And we had the rep in the junior company, but we were doing a lot with the company as well. I think today is a little bit more separated. So that was really nice because I got to do both. So that was the first year of the junior company. And then the year after I got the contract to join the company. And
what's the fascination with all, everybody's dying to go on holiday to Brazil, and all the Brazilian beautiful dancers want to join European company. Why? Wouldn't it be ideal to be able to dance there as well?
I wish I could have this. I could do that. I mean, of course, I have friends that dance there, and still have quite a lot of friends in the company there, and they enjoy. And I think it depends what you're looking for. And for me, coming here was an opportunity also to also open up, and get to work with people from all over the world. And I remember, watching DVDs when I was younger, because we didn't have YouTube. So looking at these dancers and these big companies, and I think there is a big tradition and a lot of knowledge here as well. And for sure more opportunities to dance. Like while we do, I don't know how many shows a year, maybe they do, I don't know, 1/3 of this. And also the variety of rap here, it's so big.
Amsterdam is an amazing company for that.
Yeah,
for the amount of shows and the diversity of the repertoire, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And I think many companies in Germany also are like this. And Munich also had a very diverse repertoire. So I think it's for this also, because there we always ended up dancing the same classical ballets, and it is nice, but I felt here there was more motivation and also money-wise. Here you can leave from this job. We're still fighting for you can prove. But in Brazil, it's not possible to leave only from this. You have always to have something else. And so I think that's why
it's challenging to be so far away from your family, because I know from experience, being always so far away, thinking how many planes do I need to take to go back home?
It's not an easy choice, and that's why I think some people also prefer not to. But also, we have, as I said, only two big companies in the whole country. You cannot support everyone.
Of course.
So then if you are not in one of these places, you don't really have another choice. And so I think that's why here in Europe or in the US, you have many more other options. Like in Germany, in a small country, there is, I don't know how many good
and
companies.
it was much, much more 10,
Yes.
20 years ago. Now it's less.
Yeah, true. Yes.
So let's go back to Germany. You're in Munich,
Yes.
and how long do you stay in Munich for?
Yes. So I was there for 7 years. I had a lot of ups and downs. It was also the time, you know, I was 18 when I went there. So of course, it's the time where you become an adult, and that's also not easy. So a lot of things came. I had, I don't know, I have Munich in my heart because I really feel like home. It was also, it taught me a lot, not only as a dancer, but yeah, as a person.
So what would you say was your biggest challenge, you know, as a dancer on the whole, and probably in Munich, because you're telling me that it was a tough, you know, period of time.
I think, well, I had an injury there. Of course, for a dancer, I think this is always a big challenge. And I had a knee problem. Was an inflammation in my patella tendon. But I was with this for almost 3 years, like up and down and going over the pain and trying different treatments and taking anti-inflammatories and trying to make it better, but nothing was really getting better. And then at some point I had to stop because then I started to have a problem with my foot, because then you start compensating everything. And I was like, okay, I think now it's enough. I need to take care of myself and find out the reason of this, because treating the cause, like treating only the problem was not fixing. So that's when I stopped, and I was off for almost 8 months. So it was a very long time, because I mean, nothing was really helping. I tried, I don't know, injections, and I didn't do any surgery. I didn't, but because also from what I heard at the time, if I would do that, maybe coming back was going to be maybe not possible, or I don't know.
Tendons.
Yeah. So that's also when I started to think, okay, if I don't have this, if I can't go back, you know, I need to see my life as a, it's not only dance. I think until that moment, dance was really everything for me. Like every choice I made was based on that. And of course, when you're young, you know, the body just goes. And
until it doesn't.
Yes, exactly. So I think was and then also so I think this really brought me to look at myself. First of all, of course, take care of myself and see what this was trying to show me. But also think more open, you know, really see the place where I was not only ballet, but that's also when I started learning German. And then at that point, I was living alone, and then I moved with a roommate. She was German. So I started to also connect in a different way to the place where I was. And then I went also very deep in my emotional part, because I believe if the body is not well, most likely the mind is also not well, you know? So I think it's really connected. And
it's funny
maybe
how you say you connect it to the emotions, but you talk about the mind. You know, it's
that's
interesting.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. And so mentally and emotionally, right? Two different things. So I think that's where my inner journey began. That's really where I started to look at my thoughts and emotions, and even my spiritual part and everything. And then it taught me a lot. And eventually the knee also started to get better. And then I started also I looked at the way I was working. I really went from scratch, kind of relearning again how to train and take class, because also I think we didn't have we're not very aware of this prevention exercises or how you can get stronger, and was not that much, was not really there, was more like just dancing. And of course we had Pilates, we had some things, but I don't think it was like today that we have a big aware of how we can prevent injuries and how we can, you know, treat our body to be stronger for the next ballet and the next,
and be treated like athletes, you know, not only like artists, because that's that's the big discrepancy in dance, is that we're still considered as artists, which we are, but we're also athletes, and it's a big part of our life in the end. So it's hard to combine everything and understand how it works for oneself, because we're all different, right?
Exactly. And also finding out what works for you. Exactly. Because I remember this was also a big struggle, because I remember I was listening so much. There were so many people trying to help, which is amazing, but it gets to a point that you also need to learn to listen and see what you need, because maybe this exercise works for this person, but for you it actually makes it worse, you know, like. So it's really a learning and listening process to find out, and make your own choices.
And that's a great point. Thank you for saying that, because it's the same for diet, it's the same for how you want to train, how you want to prepare for a show, how, you know, it's so personal, and you really have to take the time to know yourself. And because we're not taught that as kids, you know, we taught how it should be. Great, we need a line, you know, to follow. But after that, you're gonna have to find a way to endure it and to be resilient enough to be able to do it for many years, right? And we're not taught that, you know. If at 25 you're out of order, well, you're out of order, and there'll be other people who come up, you know. When actually, when you're 25, 28, 30, this is where you're at the top of your career, if you know, if you can envision it that way, you know.
Totally. And so I think it was was a very useful moment. And then of course, and I have to say, after that, things started to fall into place a little bit. And of course it's always learning, and I feel every time you say, oh, I got this, and then life comes and show you, okay, maybe you know, but I think with experience, the times also that when you try and then you say, okay, this doesn't work, and slowly you can build and have things that really support you. And
so how did you make it from Munich to Amsterdam?
Yes. So in the end, I stayed quite a while in Munich, also because of this injury. I couldn't really try something else, because I wanted already a few years before maybe to have a look around, because I think it's very it's important to be open, as I said. Like, so I also wanted to see what other places were doing, because 7 years in a place is quite long. I mean, I know some people stay maybe 15. I have colleagues that are here for many years, but that's okay too. But I like to see what else is out there, and some maybe not even to move, but just to see. So that's what I decided to do at the point I came to Amsterdam. I was actually looking for, I just wanted to take classes and see other places. So then I came here. I had friends here already that I knew. So I was like, I'm going to go for a few days. I had some days off, and then I can see. I mean, Amsterdam was always a place I wanted to be. I tried audition here the same year that I tried to Munich. It didn't work out. So then a few years later, I sent my material again. They never responded. So I was like, okay, whatever, I leave it. And then that time I was like, okay, maybe it's time to try. We also had a change of direction in Munich. That also changed quite a lot, the company. So that was a moment I wanted to really look around and see if there was maybe a place I could go. So Amsterdam came on the way, and then I really liked the company, as I already liked it before, but being here was also nice to see a little bit more. And yeah, and then I came back again. I brought my CV. I asked if they could see me, and yeah, and then I got the job. Yes.
So when was that?
That was 2017. So it's been now, it's my 7th season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So
It's another
again,
cycle.
another cycle, yes.
But COVID was in between. So how was COVID for you?
Yeah, that's true. COVID was in between. COVID was hard. Was hard. I mean, I have to say that the time itself was, yeah, of course, was not the best, but I think in the beginning we didn't really know how long was going to go. So I think I didn't realize it was gonna be that long. But physically wise was really hard. I feel like there was a moment my body was really not responding. Like I remember trying to do things, like literally the body was not responding. Like it was so this was really hard. There was
like
a point,
apathy, right? Because you're like you have no desire anymore, because you feel, I mean, I remember it was feeling completely stuck, you know, you were like trying to do something, but you didn't know where you could go. So yeah,
where you could go. Yeah, and I remember like we were working for Nutcracker, and I had nice roles coming up and working on it, and then suddenly we were shut down again. And then yeah, it's frustrating also, because we usually, okay, I also enjoyed taking class and taking care of my body and these kind of things, but we also work towards a goal, right? To be on stage and to overcome, like, and have new challenges and things like that. So when this goal is not there, then it's just a workout.
it's a
But then
good
it's a different
preparation for
approach,
when
right?
you're going to stop dancing. I can say that to everybody who's
Yeah,
dancing
that's
right
true.
now. It's like, this is what it is. All of a sudden
Yeah.
it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
what? Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah. So I think for me was more, I mean, I think for everyone, no, these up and downs, like, okay, we're back, no, we're not. And this is very hard physically. Yeah, especially because we need to be active. And of course, doing bar in your kitchen can help until a certain point, but afterwards, no, not anymore. So yeah, I think was very challenging physically for me. And yeah, the going back to the normal rhythm was tough. Yeah, the body was not really responding.
So you're talking here about physically, but don't you think that was also mentally and emotionally, that because it was so hard to project yourself into the future, then you're on standby, and being on standby is really tough, you know, mentally, emotionally, and then the physical body just goes like,
yeah, for sure. Yes, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I had a question in my mind and it just ran away. So I have to make up.
Yes.
So I've heard, we discussed a little bit last time we had a little conversation, that you started studying, which I find, you know, inspiring.
Yes. Oh yeah. That was something, it came during COVID. There you go. Yeah. I forgot about it. Yeah, because COVID somehow it feels like it lasted for so long that I don't know, I had to really remember how, you know, the different stages of this moment. But yeah, so together with that, because I also had, you know, more free time, and at some point we didn't really know how it was gonna go. And I already already a little bit before that, I started to look into things that I enjoy apart from dancing. And I did a writing course, like writing. Sometimes I say writing and then people think I was doing horse riding, but it's writing. And so that was nice, and I also got to know people outside, and have, you know, different responsibilities, but that was not really my thing. And then I was like, okay, maybe I can actually study something, I started thinking about university. I have some colleagues at work that do some online universities.
Yeah.
So I started looking at that, and then psychology came to my mind. Was something that I always thought was important and that I was in contact with since my Munich time. I was seeing a therapist at that time that helped me also to go through everything I was going through. So then I was like, okay, maybe actually it's something I could study more about it. And who knows, maybe work with that in the future. But in the beginning, it was really, I want to study. I enjoy studying. I always liked since I was younger. And so I wanted to also use my brain in a different way, and also have something else to focus on. So then I started this bachelor degree in the Open University in England. And I'm doing part-time studies, so it's going to take a little bit longer than what it usually takes. But yeah, and then I'm enjoying a lot. I'm in my third year now. And now I start to see that it's actually something I can definitely work with. And of course, if I can combine with dance, I think would be amazing, because then I can use knowledge from both worlds. And I think there is a lot that can be done in the ballet world.
So tell me a little bit about that, because I think that's what's interesting. How would you apply it? Because, from experience, I can tell you that when dancers are in the tunnel, which they have to be, because it's like, dance, dance, dance.
Yeah.
Unless they have an obstacle like an injury or, an accident or whatever, it's very unlikely that they will want to. And that was the same for myself. So I completely. So I was, for me, I'm always wondering, how do we bring that up as a backup crutch or something, that instead of having to face the problem and then have nothing in your hand to deal with it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What do you think about that? Because it's something I'm very busy with, and in the same time I don't find solutions really, and I don't find how to bring it up for people to be curious and demystify also the psychology thing. I think it's much better now, but a few years ago it was like, oh, you're going to see a psychologist, and as well with that.
And because I see also this this thing of looking for a psychologist, I believe that self-knowledge is good anytime. You don't have to wait for a problem to look for tools to fix the problem. You can actually, it's better if you already start looking into yourself before the big problems come, so you are much more ready to deal with them. So I see having a therapist or a psychologist as a way of the same way you go to the gym, like it. And I think this is something that needs to be changed a little bit on the way how people see the therapist or the psychologist. It's just a way of taking care of your emotions and your mental part and your so one thing is that, as you said, to demystify this, the way we look at this. And the other thing, I think it's time that people maybe trust little bit more this process. And I see from the younger people that I see in the theater that it is something they talk much more about it than when I was their age. So I do believe that time can help this change. Ballet companies are slowly having more this talk, and the mental wellness, how they call, and the mental health. And we now have a psychologist in our company. She was there for 1 day a week for 2 hours. That was the beginning, but actually this week I heard she is going to be there now for 2 days a week for 3 hours each day. So that's already an improvement. So I feel slowly it is changing, and I think it's just, it's the time for the process. And I think the way to start is trying to connect with as many people as you can and try to reach out, to bring this at least to the people around you, and whoever is interested will come, right? And then I think slowly maybe it gets, you can reach more people.
But what I find is that most dancers, even people I work with, it's like it's something very intimate, and it's very private. So it's always a challenge to express, what you've gone through, right? And I think, but that's the most important part, because we all go through those things, and it would be so much easier to know that, that's part of life. You know what I mean? That you're not crazy or not, abnormal because you're all alone, on your corner. It's just
true.
Every human being goes through that, and as dancers, we're very sensitive and we're very exposed because we are in front of the mirror all day long, and we're being criticized all day long. So you have to be quite strong to handle that, right?
I feel it's very cultural as well, because if I compare here to Brazil, for example, it's very different. I feel they are much more open. I have a lot of friends. Oh, I have therapy today, or they talk about this very openly, and we share what we spoke on the therapy session. I don't know, like it's very. I feel the taboo is it's less there at this moment. Of course, not everyone. Brazil is huge. I'm talking maybe about the bubble I know. But I feel here in general, people are more closed. So I think it also takes more to open up, and I do feel it is harder here. I agree with you. But comparing to this, for example,
it's also that you have a culture that is much more open to emotions, to contact, to it's like family, it's about community, it's it's very it's like it's ingrained in your blood, whereas we've detached from that, so it's kind of hard. It's cold.
I think this also is a big difference.
All right. Well, I hope you can bring all this knowledge and wisdom to the younger generation.
I hope so too. I see where this is going to go and how I'm gonna work with that, but for sure I think it's a possibility, and would be nice to combine both knowledges.
Practical to do as well when you do the university, or is it just
no, this one is only theory. And there is a lot about research and more the scientific part of it. But then once I finish that, then I have to go into a specialization or a master's or something, and there is where practical comes.
Right.
Yes.
So to wrap this up, I would like you to tell me if you have one advice to give to a young dancer that starts his or her career today, what would that be?
I think is to see yourself as a whole, and not only as a dancer, because it's really easy, as you said, to go through that tunnel, and I do believe it's true. We need to focus. It is a different type of work. What you do outside also has also reflects on your work, and so it is true that takes a lot, to see yourself as a dancer. But I believe that everything else, that all the other aspects in your life are also important. And when those are actually strong, then you can be a stronger dancer. If your relationships are healthy, if you enjoy your free time, and if you spend time doing other things that you also enjoy, or even learning about other subjects, all this knowledge, everything, it's gonna reflect on stage and in your daily work, because you are a whole person. So you cannot go on stage and think you are only the dancer. And that's what I was also a big change for me, that when I was dancing, I thought I was this only Luiza, but no, I'm all the Luizas, even the one that does grocery and fix my lights and whatever, you know, it's all the same person. And I think we forget that when we go into the ballet scenario, we think we are only these little ballerinas there and doing what, you know, people tell us to do, but we are all of the other
You know,
things.
it's
So
very interesting what you're saying, because when I started the healing school that I did, the first year I thought, wow, I want to know what it is to be a woman. I had no idea, you know, and I thought this was really weird to say this, you know, because of course, you know, I was not that young, you know, but I wanted to be a human being, and I wanted to be a woman, and I had no idea what it was. And just expressing myself on stage was a great outlet for me to be able to feel and experience those things, but I wanted to have it in my life. So I think it's very beautiful what you said. You know yourself as a whole, not just a dancer.
Also because our career is so fragile, and we don't know what can happen. So it is important that, you know, the other aspects are also strong. And this is for anything, like anyone that only focus on the job, or even on a relationship, or in only one thing, is the balance.
Well, that's very beautiful. So and I would like to add that this is an endless journey, right? Because it will last until we die. So because some people want quick fix, and you know, they want to know this and this and this, but as you evolve, things change, and you have to reevaluate things every day.
Totally.
That's the
Every
fun
day.
of it for me. But for some people, they're like, well, I mean, you know, I want to have it, you know, organized and control is a big
doesn't
thing
work
for dancers. Included, you know, but so I think
totally,
it's very beautiful conclusion. Thank you. I really appreciate your energy and your inner peace that I can feel. Thank you so much, Luiza, for being part of this project with me. And
my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yes, one day.
Yes, I hope so too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.